Welcome to
Laugh and Learn.
Laugh and Learn with Flame and Lauren and Nick and y'all and Kendall and yeah. I know it's a very different look for y'all today. Ain't no makeup today. It's Memorial Day.
Flame is looking a little love loungy for Laugh and Learn today.
In about 40 minutes, I'll be feeling very love loungy because I've already finished cooking.
Yes, indeed.
And happy Memorial Day to all the veterans out there who have served this country, especially the ones that have been unknown, that we never knew about. And I'm not even talking about just in our lifetime. I'm talking about like even back when the Civil War started, because they put a lot of black men, on the forefront to take them bullets and take a lot of us died unnecessarily because they scary asses. Did I say that right?
You did.
They scary asses. So yes, welcome to Laugh and Learn. I am your host, Flame Monroe, along with my co-host, Lauren Hogan, right here.
Hello.
And Nick Smith is on here somewhere. Nick Smith is on here. And if y'all saying, Flame, why you not dressed up? Yeah, not today.
It's Memorial Day. That's why.
And my daddy was a vet. He was in the Navy. He's also passed on. So yeah, in commemoration of all the veterans that we have lost, no wig, no makeup. This is it.
I wish you would have given me that memo. I would have come up here looking a little different today.
First of all, that's your hair, and you ain't got no some damn lipstick and a little powder, so knock it off. Hi, Nick.
Good afternoon. Tilting us up a bit. So
Happy Memorial Day, Nick. You are a vet.
Yes, indeed.
I'm a vet, and today is the day that we, honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and, gave their lives in service to this country. So it's been somber, you know the deal. So yeah.
Yeah, but let me tell you where we're going today, because the world is somber. This has been such a horrific week in the United States. I don't even want to do politics. I don't even want to talk about all the bad stuff going on. Lauren will bring up one, but this is a hodgepodge show. We're gonna bring on some flame mess, and we talking shit today. I'm telling y'all right now. Let's make Memorial Day like the family cookout, because I just can't even take it anymore. Your negative comments, all the hate, everybody's enraged, people on the planes fighting. Everybody we like on a powder keg waiting to explode. So let's laugh and learn. Let us do what our name says today. Let's teach each other something fun or funny, a memorable story, and let's just laugh because, child, I'm so frustrated I couldn't even put no makeup on. Ooh. That's the excuse I'm using anyway.
It's been a crazy week for me. I literally called Lauren about an hour ago. I'm like, Lauren, where are you? She's like, where are you? What you mean, where am I? And I'm like, Lauren, I'm sorry. I'm not doing well this week. And I told you that, Yeah. And she's like, it's okay, Nick. We all have those weeks. It's just been an odd week.
He texted at 12:21. I'm here waiting. I said, what you waiting on, player? I'll start getting ready to 12:40.
That's all. But yeah, I will say this, a little fun thing, because earlier this week, I'm going to say Friday, I heard someone very funny on the Karen Hunter show.
Who? Since we didn't get a chance to hear it, who? Look at me being a fan. Who?
Great job, Flame. Flame, do you have any more information about when we might be able to hear that whole episode for those who missed it?
Karen Hunter is on her show on Sirius Radio Channel 126, and I'm doing Foolish Fridays with her again on this Friday. So it might be, I don't know if I'm proving myself or if I'm in auditioning stage, but they seem to love me because, we're trying to get laughing. Like, there is an ulterior motive. I'm trying to get Love Lounge picked up on Sirius Radio. Understand there is an ulterior motive, because there's always a method to my madness. Isn't it, Lauren?
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Lauren,
well, you did a great job.
Thank you, Nick. Y'all have to listen to Karen Hunter on Fridays on Sirius Radio, Foolish Friday. We have a great time. We cover a bunch of subjects. I do my Ask He, She, We, because y'all know I'm the love guru. I've been the husband and the wife, sometimes in the same night, depending on who turn it was, how much money was involved, and what day of the week. I never bottomed on Tuesday, because Tuesday was taco and burrito night, and you don't want to bottom after taco burrito. Let me just say. Anyway, and that is great. And then my show with Tasha K, who will be our in studio special guest on the 14th of this month, came out on Friday, right? And it's doing pretty good. Tasha K surprised everybody with this interview, because everybody's so used to her being messy and throwing dirt and slinging. she showed y'all that there's another side. That's growth. I'm telling y'all right now, nobody stays the same because if you stay the same, you stay in the same place. You got to do something different in order to grow. Mm-hmm. What is that quote? I've got it on one of my Instagram pages from Coco Chanel. She says, "In order to be different, you must be." Or in order to be, you must be daring or something. What I got it wrong, but y'all know. Just Google the shit. I don't know.
Well, I know we're gonna have a show filled with laughter because we want to keep it light, but we do have to discuss one heavy topic to start. It has been 100 years since the Tulsa massacre, or race massacre, I should say, in Greenwood. So we just want to talk about that briefly. We're going to acknowledge some things around it, and then we can get to the laughter. But we'd be remiss if we didn't start the show off by acknowledging this. So.
Well, before you start giving us the tangibles, Nicholas, I want Lauren's raw emotion on this, because when Lauren was telling me about this on her drive here this morning, Lauren was charged up about it. You were ready to slap somebody, Lauren.
I was. I watched. There was a documentary actually on the History Channel that premiered yesterday, and I watched it, and I was just really angry. And it was a 2-hour documentary. It was really heavy. And I think what probably made it even worse is that they tied in a lot of what was happening around Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and just a lot of different just police involved shooting, and it was very upsetting. So what I was saying to Flame was that I know that there's been so many talks about reparations and things like that. And the government is kind of taking the stance of, well, we don't really know how to provide reparations for slavery because we can't really, track who's descendant of who and those sort of things. But in the situation of Tulsa, you guys can very easily track who deserves reparations in this instance. And there's just never been justice been brought for those family members that lost their lives 100 years ago.
Tell them what triggered the whole incident, because that was so interesting when you told me, because I never knew that.
Oh, okay. So what triggered the incident, based on what I was watching last night, there was a man by the name of Jake Rowland. He worked at this all-white shoe shine parlor. The white owner of the parlor had about 4 Black employees. However, when it was time for them to go use the restroom, they were never allowed to use the facilities that were in this shoe shine parlor. So what he did was he, set up this negotiation where his Black employees could go to the Drexel Hotel, which was right in the middle of Greenwood, and they could go there to use the facilities because that's where the colored toilet was. So Jake Rowland went to the Drexel Hotel. The elevator operator was a white woman, and Jake got into the elevator, and the story goes that, the elevator jerked or something happened when she moved the elevator, and he ended up stepping on her foot or bumping into her accidentally. And of course, she's screaming and, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So, Jake being fearful, he ran out of the Drexel Hotel, and that's literally what started this whole it was the catalyst, we'll say that, to this whole massacre. They arrested him. He was brought downtown to the jail. And so, of course, throughout the couple of hours after he was arraigned, this white mob of almost 700 people assembled because they were telling the police officers, we need to go and lynch him. He assaulted a white woman. There was a lot of dog whistle terms being used. They were saying, assault was a dog whistle term for, another Black man raping a white woman. So throughout the course of the evening, all of these white men assembled to have Jake lynched. But at the same time, in Greenwood, there was, I don't want to get anybody's name wrong, but it was J.B. Stratsford and A.J. Smitherman. They were kind of like the leaders of the town, and O.W. Gurley, who was actually the architect behind Greenwood. They all basically assembled and said, we need to go protect him. So lots of, war veterans in the Black community came down to protect Jake, and that started this whole, how dare you come down here? And that's literally how the massacre started. So
it shows you that Karen ain't just started, huh? Karen been going on for hundreds of years. Karen ain't been just started. And secondly, why do they love to holler that Black men are raping white women? Baby, do you understand you ain't got to rape a white woman now? All you got to do is be a professional athlete. You ain't got to rape shit. They gonna give it to you. And I'm not saying all right white women. So for y'all get on your bandwagon and get to hollering, screaming, crying. Ooh, Flame said what Flame said. I said you ain't nobody running around trying to rape nobody white woman because you white. That is such a myth, but they have used that to be a power play for such a long time, which is why black women get offended when they see these black men marrying these white women, because they feel like all of that is just pushing back the narrative. And when they saying, oh, your trophy is a white woman, my trophy would be a smart woman. I need a backbone. I need somebody who gonna hold me up. Cause I'll work. I just need a woman that's gonna clean and make sure I wash my ass like at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Cause I don't bathe that. I only bathe on show day. Real talk.
Did you bathe today?
I did not.
But yeah, that's kind of the background of it. It's just
and
really
Lauren,
upsetting.
Even with that, I don't know about you, but I will freely admit I was not familiar with Black Wall Street and any of that until I went to college. I never heard that in grade school, high school, in life. It was not until I was at the University of California, Berkeley, with a woman named June Jordan who taught women's studies. And she was this countercultural lesbian who talked about everything you weren't supposed to talk about. And she introduced, well, look, there was no Black Wall Street. What are you talking about? Black Wall Street? Had never heard of it. And I think this is also part of the, you've mentioned before in the past, the whitewashing of our history.
Mm-hmm. And that not getting it correct. And I was telling Flame too, there's just so many instances of this that we can talk about, of just things being covered up. We've talked about Seneca Village, which is now the beautiful Central Park, and even Lake Lanier, which is like a biggest tourist attraction in Georgia. That was actually a black town called Oscarville that was bulldozed by, white folks and then flooded into this beautiful tourist attraction that generates millions of dollars a year. So there's so many instances.
In Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, the Inkwell. Yep.
There's so much that has been, until we have a true reckoning, and this is where I go back to, it begins with an apology. It begins with an apology. We still, as a country, have not acknowledged our history. We have to recognize that we live in a country, just admit it, we live in a country that was built on the backs of slaves. That's all. And it was stolen from other brown people. We stole the land, and then, we stole this. Now, I don't really want to build it up myself now. Come on, what we going to do, y'all? We need to get some labor over here. So that's exactly what happened. And all we have to do is just talk about it. We have had more years in this country. There have been more years of this country in existence with slavery being a part of it than without. So to act like it's not real and not something that we need to discuss so that we can at least begin the process of healing and recognizing where we go is just ridiculous. Everything else is performative.
Yeah, I knew about that Lake Lanier because I heard the stories about it that, it's supposed to be kind of haunted. Very poltergeist. Y'all put these stuff up, all these dead bodies. This house is clean. Y'all need the little midget bitch. What was her name from the movie? So she can come and get the house clean. What was her name? I know what I'm saying. What was her name? This house is Carol Ann. Oh my God. I told y'all I'm in the mood today. Y'all go roll with it today.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
But that is and all collectively, all the black tragedies that we have had, don't even, if you put them all together according to this country, they still don't even measure up to the Holocaust. And this will be all of us, from Rosewood to Lake Lanier to the Village to Tulsa, Oklahoma. According to them, all of ours combined won't even line up to the Holocaust. This is what we're saying. So when we say that we don't care about what's happening with other cultures, that's not what it is. But we're too concerned about what's happening with us. I ain't got time to worry about what's happening over here, over there. Help us fix our shit. Then we'll help you, because as you can see, once they're done with us, y'all just next up on the side block, because what they want is what they want. And they're not going to stop until they get it. They're doing it in our face. The GOP is doing it in our face and then telling me what I didn't see. With my glasses on or off, I can see the bullshit that y'all pulling. That y'all telling me I didn't see.
Flame, you didn't. That was just a normal tourist day on January 6th. What are you talking about? It's like any other tour of the Capitol.
Oh,
my
God. And I cannot believe that he even fixed his mouth to actually say that out loud publicly to us. Like we stupid.
Flame, that's not the problem. Is the others who sat there and they co-signed on this. The fact that there were not 10 who believed we at least need to have a commission to take a look at what happened. 10 Republicans don't believe that. Not 10 Republicans believe that it's necessary to examine what happened on January 6th completely free of bias and completely free of political bias, right? Just like we did with September 11th. We had to take a look to see exactly what went wrong. There were failures all the way around. How do we prevent this from happening again? We cannot sit here and say that we know for a fact we will not have another siege on the Capitol the way we did on January 6th. There's nothing that tells me that that could not happen again.
Well, I think that's too, that speaks to when we talk about history, because I think there's a lot of parallels that we can kind of draw in this situation from Tulsa to what's happening around this whole January 6th commission. In the instance of Tulsa, you know, they had a lot of white newspapers that were putting out these narratives saying that, you know, oh, the black people were at fault because they came downtown and they started this. And, you know, we don't need to take any responsibility for this kind of thing. So, and I think in this instance of the January 6th riot that happened, it's another of, well, we don't really need to take any fault behind this. We don't need to investigate this further. Let's just kind of move on. You know what I mean? And when we don't address the traumas that are occurring in the country, history just continues to repeat itself. And that's what we're seeing again in this instance. So, I don't know. I know we want to keep it light and everything, but overall,
that actress was Zelda Rubinstein playing.
Oh.
Zelda Rubinstein. I just looked her up there for you.
But overall, I really just think that I really want to encourage everybody to go and watch this documentary about Tulsa and really just get some rich history about what happened 100 years ago. And also, too, let's just talk about, they also made a comment about J.B. Stratford had the biggest hotel in basically the nation at that time, and how, you know, we talk about how, you know, black folks don't have things like generational wealth and we're not giving back to our own communities. But, you know, Black Wall Street was the biggest example of this. And they were saying how J.B. Stratford could have been the next Marriott or, you know, the next Hyatt or whatever you want to call it. So overall, there's a lot of wrong that's been done to our community, and we need some type of reparations for it.
There was a show that came on last year. We talked about it on here. I can't think of it. It was real abstract, but they shed light to the whole Tulsa thing. They had the two little twins. Remember the movie that came out? It was real crazy with Angelou Ellis and Zernay Smollett. Whatever it was, they revisited a lot of the black history that we didn't get taught in school, because they never taught us in school about the Tulsa Riots. I was never taught that in school either.
Neither was I.
So when I started hearing about that, I'm like, when did that happen? I never remember reading or hearing about that when I was in school. But when they talked about that,
Watchman. Miss Justice asking, it was the Watchman, not Watchman. It was the other one, like something.
Lovecraft. That's it. It was
Lovecraft Country.
So
Lovecraft
anyway,
Country.
when they did that, when they had the riots, because they relived that, they replayed that, acted it out. One guy was like, they got a piano. I don't even have a fucking piano. The jealousy of you worried about what somebody else has even though it was racist. But that's why I tell people all the time, baby, focus on you. If I'm focused on me, I can't worry about this person got more than me or if this person has less than me. I'm focused on me. If everybody focused on themselves, but that was not even that. That was the first time I really started hearing it, because I had heard it before, but I didn't believe it because it wasn't in the history books that we were taught in school. So I was like, child, I ain't never heard of that shit. Y'all made that up. But
they have since implemented this curriculum, though, about Tulsa into the Oklahoma school district. So I will say that they're trying to right some wrongs. You know, it's not a better late than never situation, but they are, you know, trying to implement what actually happened in that town. Yeah. It's a part of their curriculum.
And Lauren, can we also shout out, that's why I think it's interesting that Howard University is having this conversation too, right? Howard is saying, you know, we need to re-examine who decides that this is the history we need to teach, and these are the classics, and let's re-examine that. Guess what? There were black voices. There were voices that were women. There were women who were counterculture who are strong voices. Why are we not examining these? I can make a strong argument that I genuinely believe Nikki Giovanni should be included in any of the greats when we're talking about commentary on the political diaspora or where we are as a community and as a culture. But I don't know that everyone knows Nikki the way I think they should. Zora Neale Hurston. There are so many black female writers who I feel like were able to maybe move and talk about things in different areas that others just weren't given voice to, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, I definitely agree.
For those of you all who are unfamiliar with Nikki Giovanni, not only is she a great poet, but she don't mind speaking her man. Oh, she's Flame Monroe before even Flame Monroe was born. That lady plays no games with you. A, and B, she was the first woman to blow the whistle on Bill Cosby, and he destroyed her career. Payback is the bill. Bill, you're now 207-3461. Oh, that would be his
Flame,
Instagram.
Well, another one that we can talk about too, but another one we can bring to light too is Miss Ida B. Wells. She was the first one that actually brought lynching to light and what was actually happening. She was one of the pioneers on that front of being an author.
Let me tell you about that Ida B. Wells, though. Not the lady, but we lived in the projects in Chicago. It was called Ida B. Wells. How about so many of us lived in the projects and didn't even know who Ida B. Wells was?
Which is such a problem.
It really was. They never even taught that in the schools. We just knew that we lived in Wells projects. They didn't call it Ida. I live in the Ida B's, or either I live in the Wells. But a lot of people never knew who Ida B. Wells was growing up living in the projects named after Ida B. Wells.
Yeah. Can we go even a little further than that? That you used to, one would pretend that they were from, like, I can remember going to clubs early on that say, I'm from Altgale Gardens, because it sounded tough, right? And then if somebody asked you too much, well, what part? You're trying to dance your way out of it, because somewhere in there, they had also convinced us that there was a sense of bravado that came from, coming from one of the projects, so I think this is also part of the whole whitewashing there.
Did I have a project bravado when you first met me?
Well, you didn't necessarily seem soft. Let's just say that.
Security, I'm being attacked by the co-host. Help me, Jesus. Flame ass, y'all gonna let me. So that's how y'all gonna do me. Y'all just gonna let Nick throw me up under the bus. I don't even fit up under a bus. I'm too goddamn fat. You ever seen that new thing where they trying to roll the weights over the men's asses? Baby, I tell you, I tried to roll the weight. We was gonna do that at home. The weight stopped at the thigh. It ain't even made it to my ass. Fat ass.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring in some flamettes. I know that they kind of want to touch on this topic, so let's see. This is somebody new. Let's see.
Elaine had not, had her, had him, had them.
Let's see if we can get a couple new folks in today to talk about this topic in particular. And then we're going to make it funny.
There was somebody on here from Tulsa. And they said that they weren't even taught that in school.
I saw that too. They're trying to revamp the curriculum now. I saw that as a part of the special that was.
But you know what they're doing? They might be teaching that over there, but they're removing Black history from a lot of schools. My kids have never learned Black history in the schools here that we go to.
Oh, I didn't either. Black history was just you celebrated Martin Luther King. That was Black history.
Wow.
That was it growing up in school, and that's why I'm so grateful that I went to an historically Black college, just because I was able to learn so much new information that I just wasn't aware of. Hey, Cassie.
Hey, y'all. How y'all?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I never learned about Tulsa up here in the Pacific Northwest. I remember telling you guys prior on a live that I really didn't know anything about even HBCUs until my daughter got accepted. So we're really sheltered up here as far as our history, unless you go out searching for it. So, and I have a family member who lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're my white family, but they didn't want to admit that either.
Why they gotta be white?
Well, I'm just telling. Okay.
She's speaking to her heritage. It's okay.
I'm messing with you, Cassie. Why they gotta be white?
They didn't want to, we're not racist, we're not this, we're not that. It happened in your backyard. And they only started learning about it last year when George Floyd was murdered. And they live it down there. So, I mean, it's a crazy and terrible topic. And hi, everybody. Hi.
Well, I think the other thing, too, that we can know, Cassie, is that, one, what happened in Tulsa was not discussed for 75 years. Hi, Corey. Thank you so much for joining.
No problem.
Hi,
I finally
Corey.
caught y'all. Hey, Flame. I finally caught you guys because I'm always busy. I have a son with autism. Flame and I have talked about that online before. But senior year, a couple of us got together and we protested the year before to get Black history put in our school's curriculum. So because I'm kind of like an only child. My sister and I are like 18 years apart. I did a lot of reading on my own. So I taught my son. It wasn't taught in school. I heard about Tulsa through the game. because he had a Black Wall Street tattoo. And at first I was like, well, I don't think he really know what he talking about. Do you really know what he talking about? So I left it alone. And then Watchmen came first. And I was like, the game was talking about Black Wall Street. So maybe he did know what he was talking about. And then Lovecraft Country came, and then it really tore into it. And I kept searching for stuff, and I couldn't find it. But we do our children a disservice if we don't go out and teach our own children, because they're not going to teach it in school because they're trying to whitewash everything. I'm also indigenous, so the government sanctioned genocide that has happened, that is still going on within the indigenous community as well as the Black and brown community, is still happening, and it's still doing it. I think that we really, really, really need to talk about these things. We have to, because if we don't, it's just going to keep happening and happening and happening. And I'm tired. I have PTSD. I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing another Black man gunned down, dragged all over. My son, like I said, has autism, and he doesn't know how to deal with all of this. He hasn't had bad interactions with the police, but he's starting to hate all of them. My grandfather was a police officer, so it's I don't want him to hate all cops, because all cops aren't bad, but it's not enough good ones, as you said the other day, Flame.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story and letting us know that. What you said about being indigenous, because Lauren, you have a story about they just found like 200 something dead
in
bodies?
Canada. Yeah, so there was a story that came out about these like schools that were created for these young indigenous children, where they were basically sent to this boarding school is what they were trying to call it, but the purpose behind it was to strip them of their heritage and their culture and kind of reassimilate them into society with more of a white perspective and not with what their cultural heritage was. Yeah, so they just found 215 kids that were basically murdered in Canada. And Canada is trying to kind of cover up what happened around these different schools. And the coup de grace is that the last school closed in 1996. So this is very recent. It's not something that's like happened years ago. This is recent tragedy that's happening in the indigenous community, you know, and even taking it back to Tulsa, they talked about the Trail of Tears and how all of these, you know, indigenous folks were, you know, forcibly moved out of their homes and out of their communities. So, you know, as Black folks, we talk about, you know, we need reparations, but indigenous folks have been brutally traumatized for so long in this country.
My family didn't do the Trail of Tears, and I can't be federally recognized. And I am part of the last generation of, you would say, have enough percentage of indigenous blood, according to what white people say.
Go ahead, Cassie.
No, I just wanted to say, you were going to say something earlier about that we only been talking about Tulsa for about 75 years. But I wanted to go back to what Nick said. I agree. We need an apology, acknowledge, and then let's move forward. I mean, I am so happy that we're searching and we're looking for the information. And yeah, they're trying to whitewash everything and they're trying to erase history. But if we don't learn about our history and really understand it, we're going to repeat it. We don't want to repeat it. So we have to continue to educate ourselves.
So let me tell you how this country works. If we get an apology and acknowledgement, nobody will get no money.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want an apology.
So I don't want the apology. I want the acknowledgement and then I want the reparation.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get the apology and the acknowledgement. If you do get both of them, you won't get any money. That is this country.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, though, is that the mayor in Tulsa is saying, oh, we need to do an investigation to see if all of these, you know, mass graves were actually a thing. So they did this excavation in Oak Lawn Cemetery. They found all these bodies, but now the mayor's like, well, we need to examine these bodies to see if there was actual trauma to them to verify this story. So there's like, it's like you constantly moving, you know, the goal line, if we want to call it in that sense. That so you said you had to find the bodies. Well, now you have to decide if the bodies have received trauma.
Tell that mayor, I say, ask his goddamn granddaddy. Ask your granddaddy. You ain't got to dig up. Ask your granddaddy how many bodies he responsible for. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's frustrating. It's not that hard to find out who came from enslaved people. Whose ancestors were enslaved. The slave, with the grid, I forget what it's called. You can find it.
The African diaspora is what you're trying to say, Cassie?
You know the list that they used to keep. It was before the census, before we had names. It was just slave roll. It was just Negro girl 5. You know, each one of us carry a last name that comes from people who owned enslaved Africans. And so not each one of us, I'm talking about, but it's not that hard to find out whose ancestors were enslaved. They just don't want to do the work and they don't want to give us no money.
Do me a favor, Cassie. Track mine down, because I just want to know. I know I was a difficult bitch when I was a slave. I know I talk shit. I got my ass whooped, but I was stealing cornbread all the time.
I would do that for you. I just need to know where you...
Not the cornbread.
I was stealing cornbread because I wasn't going to be hungry. First of all, you're going to put me in a hot ass field all day, no air conditioning. I can't sit down. Then you going I got to go. What if I got to go pee? I got to ask if I got to go pee. See, that's why black people ain't on time now, because we couldn't wear watches because we had no sense of time. Mm-hmm. When they told us to start, we started. When they told us to stop, we stopped. See, ain't nobody told me to stop, so that's why I don't know what time it is. That when they said Flame be here at 9 o'clock, I'll be like, when? What time is that? See, because ain't nobody told me.
I think that's valid. I really believe you when you say that, because a lot of black folks, I'm a very timely person, and I guess I got to attribute that to my mama. But I believe you when you say that. I really do. When you say CP, I believe that. But I'm gonna track that down for you. Yeah. But
it's so much generational trauma that we have. Yeah. And I get it from both sides, because I have the colonization trauma, and then I have the slavery trauma, and then my poor granddad, he was in between because he half white. So it's crazy. My son gets upset when I try to make him watch things. He's like, I can't. I don't like it.
I have that issue. Mm-hmm. I was explaining to my 14-year-old just the other day. We were watching something, and so we were talking about slavery and everything, and I was telling her how wretched things were, and I explained to my children that the Underground Railroad would not have worked without good white people helping us, because we could not be seen on a horse, we could not carry a weapon, you couldn't even look a white person eye to eye without being beat or hurt or maimed. So I was explaining to her about the molestation of underage. We were watching Harriet, and so I was telling her the story because I read so many.
I can't get him to watch that.
She was watching with me, but it doesn't tell the darker side. It was telling the determination of Harry. But I was telling her if they would have gotten caught, they were cutting the men's penises off, and they were doing wretched things. So I was telling her that when they wanted slaves to procreate sometimes, and they weren't fertile, I read stories where they would put bags over the people's heads. So say Cassie is a 30-year-old woman, she has an 18-year-old son. They would put them in a room together with other people with bags on their head and make people have sex with each other. So you could actually be having sex with your mother or father or brother or sister to procreate. So the stories about slavery, if you really dig deep, will make your heart just bleed like wrench.
Yeah.
So, what we don't know is what we hear, because none of us were there. So when you hear those stories, you be like, it sounds unimaginable, but what kind of people are this cruel to do such inhumane things to another human being?
And be okay.
They're in the GOP right now.
And then say it never happened.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm. It happened. I don't know about you, but I have dreams. My ancestors visit me in my dreams. Stuff happens. And
I hope man don't visit me, because they be asking me for money and shit. Leave me alone. I ain't gonna money.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Hey, Blaine.
Hi,
everybody.
I saw you the other day, and I was looking just like this.
So share with us some of your thoughts on what we've been discussing so far.
Well, as a descendant of the riots that happened in Forsyth County or Cummins, Georgia,
Oh.
I had a flashback of what Flame would say. Oh, y'all ain't really y'all related to so and so. I got that a lot, especially when I was in the ninth grade. Oprah Winfrey came down with her show, and I was like, yeah, I'm a descendant of these individuals. With that incident, it caused a lot of infighting within our family about the families, about the land that we settled on in Beaufort. That's in Gwinnett, next door. So most of the people with the riots, those riots happened everywhere in the United States. That had a large population of Black people, that had a large population of the natives to the U.S. So with the one that happened in Forsyth County or present day Cummins, Georgia, most of the inhabitants that I descend from, they seek refuge in Hall County. They seek refuge in Gwinnett County. So that's where my family on the paternal side, where they seek refuge, and they were able to regroup, buy land, and we have a street or road in Beaufort, Georgia, that's Roberts Drive, that's named after the family. But of course, with the gentrification that's going on up there, that's in threat also. So growing up, and it's sad that we are as Black people, we don't believe the wealth that we come from, the royalty that we come from. That's the first thing that we would do is mock us. And it was like, no. And that's what I went through in the ninth grade when Oprah Winfrey came down and they had Jose Williams leading the marches up in Forsyth, but they never seek to give us reparations or give our people reparations. But that did cause a lot of family splits within the Black communities, or the people who descend from the individuals who were displaced, who were killed as a result of the riots that went on in Cummins, Georgia, or Forsyth County.
So, Hannah, let me interject here because what I think you're talking about is what we briefly touched on around Lake Lanier, correct?
Right. So you had
Correct.
Shannon's Hill. Most of my relatives, I think they descend from Shannon's Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So, or Sheila's Hill or Shannon's Hill, I'm sorry. But that's what's unfortunate, is that we don't know our history, and the mere fact that we don't respect the oral history that's actually more credible than what's written out there that's that's in print right now. So, of course, with all these riots that happen all over the country, I'll say, that pertains to our people and their land ownership, one of the most important things that they would do was burn down the court. I'm sorry, it's a plane flying above.
It's okay. We can still hear you. Keep
We
going.
hear you.
One of the main things they would do would burn down the courthouse. The courthouse contained the records.
The county records.
So
right.
when you're trying to find out who owns what and this, that, and other, you couldn't stake your claim because they burned down the records. And then that's when they would come in and confiscate the land, even though that is Parker's land. But now Mr. Johnson, he took the land because you can't prove, even though you actually have the paper, your documentation, the original documentation that's in the courthouse was burned down.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's what's unfortunate. That happened everywhere. You had Rosewood. That happened on both sides of my paternal side, on his maternal and paternal. One side of the family was driven south, and the other side of the family was driven from North Florida, South Georgia, up to North Georgia. So once you know the history, it's up to us to believe us when we cite the oral history, what happens or what happened to our people.
Too many of us don't have older people in our families that we sit down and listen to those stories.
Yeah.
Because Big Mama Big Mama is now 38 years old. Big Mama ain't never been less than 68. Big Mama is now about 38, 30, 34. Big Mama still hanging out with the young kids. We have no.
What I'm gonna say about that?
Well, wait a minute, Lauren. Wait a minute,
that?
Hannah. We have not been taught to respect the elders the way that we were taught. We were taught in my generation to respect the elders, listen to the elders, take some patience with the elders. This young generation that feels so entitled now. What generation is that? ZX, LGBT.
Z.
I don't know shit. This new generation, they feel entitled. They feel like everything should be handed to them because they feel like they worked for it when they didn't. We did all the work for them. And the older people, even older than me, don't even get acknowledged for that. I'm sorry. I had to get that point out. Come on, Hannah. Tell me what you were saying, baby.
But I would say with that, if you do the research, I'm sorry, another plane is going.
We can hear you, Hannah.
Girl,
keep talking.
Hear you. We ain't worried about that plane.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so but the thing is, if you do the research 100 years ago, majority of the mothers were 13, 14, 15 years old. They were married to an older man. So when people say that, it's like, okay, the only difference is we don't have the marriage aspect of it. But a lot of our big mamas and great grandmamas and things like that, they were young. Now, in my case, not my grandmother, but if she would have lived, she would be in her hundreds right now. But if you do the research, many of our great grandmothers and grandmothers were young. They were under 18 years old. The aspect that's missing in present day, and let me finish, the aspect that's missing today is that they're not married or attached to a significant other. But I get what you're saying with the oral history. And I was fortunate. That was one of the conversations that I had, two conversations that I had yesterday. One was at a graduation party, is that we believe that our school systems are bad. Now, I was fortunate that I went to a predominantly black school, but a predominantly black high school, where the educators thought it was important for us to learn Black history. And then with that, my school system that I matriculated from was under fire, saying it was one of the bad school districts when it wasn't. It put out a lot of high functioning individuals. Now, I think the year that we had Black history in our schools was, I think they started it when I was in 11th grade, and I was fortunate in 91 to have Black history, but I was taught Black history from my parents. I was taught Black history as a young child from the educators. That's why I'm a big proponent that we need to have our own.
Well, I think Hannah, I do want to say this. I think that in a lot of ways, we've talked about how we have to, it's unfortunate that our parents have kind of taken on the burden of the responsibility of teaching us Black history, because while you say that you were able to get, Black education in your school, I wasn't able to. Flame has said that she wasn't able to, Cassie and the other Flamettes. And in regards to, in terms of, the griots and stuff that we have, I totally hear your point. I think in a way you and Flame are kind of saying two different things. I think in a way Flame is kind of saying that nowadays we don't respect our elders as much. I would disagree, because I have a great grandmother that's 101 years old.
Not all of
but
y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Not all of us. But I think
I know your mom.
I was raised right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think you and Flame are kind of saying something different in terms of, yes, we had young people that were marrying older, but they were still living longer and still had that respect for whoever their offspring were of what's happening. So we totally hear what you're saying. And as always, we appreciate you for coming on and just, sharing your knowledge, especially on Lake Lanier. You know what I mean? To be a descendant of that and to kind of speak on that, it's really important that, we share who we come from. Mm-hmm. So absolutely.
Thank you, Hannah. Can we limit it to a 3-minute version, please? We needed 3 minutes, please. 3 minutes.
I was going to say 2.
Hello.
Hey, Allison.
Hi. So, listen, yes, I'm with the Black history, the Black Wall Street, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't learn about Black Wall Street till I went to a HBCU, right? And again, I was looking at the documentaries and studying myself. And one of the things that really caught my attention, like a lot of people say, oh, well, let's rebuild Black Wall Street. Well, what they've done specifically in your local communities, they have made it so where we can't really rebuild and get that property to rebuild that Black Wall Street because how they've designed the properties, right? And if you notice how in the Black neighborhoods, they ensure that they put us in the middle of the city, so therefore they can have highways running through. So just in case if they have to put down a movement or just in case they want to shift us out, they can. So do understand this has been centuries and centuries and centuries of strategy that they've done to ensure that Black Wall Street don't happen again, right? And so here we are. There are some schools. I know next year I'll be teaching African American studies and law studies, right? And so a lot of schools don't have that. I know here in Florida they're talking about the critical race theory to go away, and they want to get away with talking about African American history because they say it's not important to discuss. However, it is important to discuss, and it is a part of history, and it should be a part of the said curriculum. But I do believe that it should be discussed. Our history should be discussed because it is a main corridor of the American history. And I always say this: until white people, realize that racism and white supremacy is their issue instead of a Black issue that they need to empathize with, then this country can start making some changes and turning some corners. But I also, when I go down and think about just a Black family, listen, we have to do better with our children. We have to start educating our children. We have to start they know who they are, because if we keep relying on the system to tell them who they are, then they won't know. So I do believe that we as young Black parents, from what I've seen, because I teach at a predominantly Black school, you have the children partying with the moms. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Wait a minute, Allison. Don't start talking about people's parenting skills on this show. Don't do that now. Come on.
Oh, no. I'm not, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, we have to do better with educating our children about the history and the importance.
Allison, let me ask you a question. What if you win city council? You still gonna be a teacher?
I am going to try, although due to the schedule that we have, I can't, I don't know. But due to the schedule, it's a very strenuous schedule. But I'll have to definitely balance myself. But again, I won't know till I get there. But I would love to continue teaching. I may go into being a professor because that's what they're pushing me towards. And because I have my Juris Doctorate, that is what they're really pushing me towards, because at the end of the day, it's a more flexible schedule. But I'm telling you, I love nurturing the young minds. I teach high school, so I love nurturing those minds and enabling them to see the light, because if you see the light that comes on their face about history and about Black history, it's breathtaking. But again, to answer your question, Flame, I won't know that until I get into office, and more than likely I'll become a professor.
Girl, you missed the first conversation we had about the light. See, now you telling them to go see the light, and the old lady in the movie said, "Don't go to the light, Carol Ann. Don't go stay away from the light, Carol Ann." No, that's great, Allison.
And when's your election? What date?
November 2nd.
Okay,
November
y'all.
2nd.
So what y'all don't know is that I do Love Lounge in the evenings when I feel it. But every Thursday for the month of June, every Thursday's Love Lounge is dedicated to Allison's campaign. So when you come on Thursday nights, we're going to put Allison's campaign, her thing up for her campaign. This is not her personal cash app. This is for her campaign. She's running for city council in Lakeland, Florida, and money helps. I'm telling you, money helps. So every Thursday for the month of June, that's what we're doing. So y'all cheap asses, come on over to Thursday nights right here on Instagram so we can donate to Allison's, because guess what? And she sent you a card with a nice picture on. Girl, you looked a little fatter on that picture than you are now. What diet you been on? Because you look skinny now.
Listen, I've been doing some exercise. Listen, you are
Me
what
too.
you eat. Mm-hmm. So I need
That's
to
what
slim
I told
down.
my little friend.
Yeah. So I am just slimming down because we have to keep mindful, ladies and gentlemen, that our health is of importance. And so I'm a very serious, I have diabetes run in my family. So I want to ensure that I am around at 55 living healthy.
I
Right?
completely,
So,
I completely agree with what you said about we have to start at home with our black children because what Hannah was saying was that they tell us what we can't be, we can't do better, and when you grow up hearing that as a parent, you tell that you ain't gonna be shit, you ain't gonna never be nothing, you ain't gonna do nothing. That sits on your kid's spirit. That sits. They say words have power, and I sometimes disagree with that. But it depends on who you're saying it to. Because when that's your own kid, they hear that all the time. That sits with them, so they feel like I don't have to get better because you already told me I'll never be nothing.
Yeah.
let me tell you this. I'll get off. Let me tell you this. My mother, when I was growing up, I told my mother I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be a flight. I wanted to fly airplanes. Anything that I ever told my mother that I wanted to be, she always said, go do it. Right. And what that did for me, and now it is, you can see it manifest now, because anything that I want to do, I go do it. Mm-hmm. So just by my mom never telling me you can't do it, that's why I go like I go. Because she told me that I could do whatever, and I believe that, and now it is manifested to me as an adult. So yes, I concur with your statement. Hi, Nick. I concur with your statement. Listen, tell your children, yeah, go be it, because I guarantee you they'll just do anything. I'm telling you.
They talk back. They don't listen to me, Alice. They talk back and tell me to shut the hell up. All that. Oh, God, I can't deal with it.
Well, thank you, Allison, as always. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Y'all follow Allison Lakeland, Florida. She's running for city council. What's happening, Nick? Weigh in. We waiting on your opinion. Come on with it.
You know, everything that Allison said, I'm going back to Hannah. I just think there's so much flame. I'm having technical difficulties on this end. So I was just trying to reboot that server and all of that. It's just everybody wants to act up today. So I could hear, but I couldn't see. But we've talked about the power of words from parents. I think that's one of the reasons I have such an affinity for black women, right? I was raised by a black woman, and there were so many black women in my life that I was always just encouraged and supported, So I think that bleeds into everything that I say and do and how I kind of move throughout life.
And it's not just from the woman. Sometimes the dad, especially when you're a daddy's girl, the dad has a huge bearing over his daughter's life with the things that he say. You know that. You're a daddy's girl.
I am a daddy's girl.
Yes,
definitely.
And if your dad said something when you was 11 that hurt your feelings, it would still hurt your feelings to this day if you had never talked about him to him. If he did. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying. And Lauren is a daddy's girl.
I'm very much a daddy's girl.
And I think
might
we
be
all
a little
know
bit
too.
of an anomaly, though.
I will say this too. I think that we have seen that there can be a difference sometimes in young women who have a really strong relationship with their fathers and those who do not. And I want to be careful here because I'm not trying to generalize or categorize, but they tend to, the ones I have known, I will use I statements, those that I have known who have had a strong relationship with their father tend to move differently and don't tolerate the same level of things from maybe the men that they date and things like that.
I mean, I would agree with that. And honestly, it's interesting because, like, my best friends, like, we're a group of 4. Out of all 4 of us, I am the only one that actually has a relationship with my father. All 3 of my other best friends have either no relationship or they just don't have a relationship with their father. So in a lot of ways, they try to say that my dad is like their pseudo dad. But it's a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt there. It really is. And it's really sad to see sometimes. So I would agree with that, Nick, for sure.
Yeah. And Flame, I'm going back to, I wish everyone, but the world is so crazy. I wish everybody really could get to know your children and how impressive they are. Because I think it's jarring almost. People are like, wait a minute, what? Oh my God! Because and no one has favorites. Everyone loves everyone equally. I get that, but I think who I connected with immediately the minute I met her because she's over the top.
She's a lunatic ass Pisces like you.
But she's a performer, and I just
I said, she a lunatic ass Pisces like you. All Pisces are performers.
And
now
some
perform a little way I like. Wait a minute, what?
but I say that because what I immediately connected with is here is a child who was told that they can do anything they want to do and they dream and they believe and they're not shy. Lauren, I grew up with so many people who were shy, who were uncomfortable in the room. Well, I don't want to speak up. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I'm about to know everybody in this room, and that's the way she is. And I don't want to say her name and embarrass her in case she's listening. But it's one she I don't think she's ever met a stranger that she will move into a space and like, first of all, I'm here. Second of all, I'm going to be heard. And third of all, yeah, I'm ready. Will anybody volunteer? Here we go. Like I could see she would be the one. I'm like, she beat me again. How she keep volunteering before I do or whatever it is. And I love that. Love that.
I'm glad y'all don't know them because they talk back, period. They all talk back. Everybody talk back.
Everybody knows which one it is.
Yeah, they know it's Zeddy. Everybody knows Zeddy. Zeddy entertains the audiences doing coffee time sometimes.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, it was. I hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day. I barbecued. I hope y'all barbecue. If you lost a loved one, we sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on to the memory. But the world is so heavy right now, and we just wanted to have a hodgepodge. We even got deeper than we wanted to go.
We did.
Because we really wanted to just have a light salad with no meat day. Yeah, we want a light salad with no meat. But we got meat and we got dressing and we got ranch. I don't even like ranch dressing. But that's what Laugh and Learn is, because we talk to each other. Y'all talk to us. We teach each other. Y'all need to watch. What's the name of it? What's the name of the documentary?
It's called Tulsa is Burning. It came out yesterday on the History Channel. It's about 2 hours long, but it's definitely worth the watch. I encourage you guys all to go and watch it.
And I think it's on demand right now, Lauren, too.
Even better.
Because I bookmarked it.
And the History Channel is doing this whole, kind of like a reparations month kind of thing where they're trying to bring light to some of the tragedies that have happened in the Black community. So, and they even actually gave funds to the AME church that was actually initially burned down in the Tulsa race massacre, but part of their basement was actually preserved. Like it was the only thing that was left, and they've rebuilt this church. So they're also giving some funds towards the AME church to help keep it, alive and kind of create this mural or it's something like a mural or a space where they can come and just kind of grieve with what was going on, like a safe haven kind of thing. So please go watch it.
Before we leave, Flame, I do want to ask you if you can share anything that you might have thought might have been fun or uplifting, because last time we met, you had not had a chance to attend the services for Paul Mooney. And then you did that. And is there anything that you can share with us that you took away from that or anything?
And everybody was hugging me and shit. I was spraying Lysol like a maniac, baby. No, we did lose the great Paul Mooney this past week, and they had a memorial service for him Thursday. Our girl Lunell hosted. First of all, Lunell was super funny, y'all. She was so good. She's so ignorant. Good God, that lady is ignorant. And it was quite great. And then they loved me because I went up at the end and did my thing. It was great. His son spoke well. They booked me. Oh, I'm performing at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood on Friday at the 1050 show. I forgot all about that. I forgot to tell
See. Oh, Lauren, I think it's kicking in. Lauren,
it is.
I think we need. Okay, so we're not trying to get you to.
What's the line? Oh yeah, because here at Laugh and Learn, we just really thank you guys for engaging with us, because this page is a transfer of information, and we could not do it without you, Flamettes and Kendall here, because Triple could make it today. And on this page, we are not trying to get you to do what, Nick?
We're not trying to get you to change your mind.
We are simply trying to get you to use your mind, because
if you don't have a brain, take your ass to see the wizard, because guess what? He passing out brains, hearts, courage. That nigga helping you get plane tickets back home. All that. It's a bitch named Glenda. She the bottom bitch. She doing all the work. The little dog be kissing on you. This ain't that show, huh?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for Laugh and Learn today. We hope that you guys have had an amazing week. We ask that you stay safe, stay prayed up. Stay out them phones when you're in public places. It's happening a lot more publicly and a lot more randomly. We didn't talk about it today on purpose, but walking in a store, in the words of T.T. Jane, keep your head on a swivel, because it's just happening anywhere and everywhere. And if you can't get away, run, hide, don't open the door, save yourself, because it's scary. This Flame and Raw. I see y'all at Love Lounge tonight. I'll be feeling real loungy. Peace.
Thank you.
Nick. Where can we find y'all? Wait. Lauren, moving on.
You can find me at Nick Smith News on all social media platforms.
And I am Lauren Armani H on Instagram, as well as Lauren Hogan on YouTube. And Flame.
You tell them.
Flame is at Monroe Flame on Instagram. Marcus Flame Monroe Parker on Facebook. Do not follow Flame on Twitter, because that is her unofficial porn site. And Flame is
I'm
Flame
only
Monroe
fans on
YouTube.
Twitter. Hey. Please watch the Tasha K interview, and she will be our in-studio special guest on the 14th, as well as our boss, Tiffany Haddish, on the 21st. Thank you, guys. I'll see y'all tonight. Peace.
Laugh and Learn is a production of the Black Effect Network and iHeartRadio. Our executive producer is Tiffany Haddish. The show is produced by Tribble. Our theme music is by Chrissy Payne.